In this video, we will talk about what a converse is, what a contrapositive is, and what an inverse is. So suppose we have some implication, if P then Q. So for example, suppose I had a statement like, if it's raining, then I stay indoors. Then I stay indoors. So this is an if-then statement. And in this case, it's raining. That takes the role of the P in P implies Q. And I stay indoors takes the role of the Q. So next I want to give a definition of a few related implications to this one. So if we switch the order of the implication and we have if Q then P, then this is called the converse. The converse. So in this example, that would be if I stay indoors. If I stay indoors, then it's raining. So we're switching the roles of the P and the Q. And looking at these two sentences, they definitely have different meanings. If we wanted to, we could use a truth table to verify that P implies Q and Q implies P. They're not equivalent. But we could also sort of see it logically by looking at these two sentences and seeing, oh, they mean different things. All right, so the next term is the inverse. So the inverse of P implies Q is similar to the converse. Sorry, it's similar to the original, but we put negations on the P and the Q. So it's if not P, then not Q. So in our example, if we keep the P and the Q where they are, but we negate both of them, we would get the sentence if it's not raining, then I don't stay indoors. Then I don't stay indoors. And the last term is the contrapositive, and that one we've been introduced to already. So the contrapositive of P implies Q flips the order of the two and negates both of them. So we get if not Q, then not P. And in our example, that would be if. So if I negate Q, I would get if I don't stay indoors. If I don't stay indoors, then I gotta negate P. Then it's not raining. Then it's not raining. And we've seen before in a previous video that the original implication and the contrapositive are equivalent. It also turns out that the converse and the inverse are equivalent. They're actually contrapositives of each other because we switch the order of these two things and we put negations on both of them. Alrighty, so let's look at an example. Okay, so in this example, it says, let P be the proposition all US citizens can vote in US elections. Part A asks, is P, this proposition, true or false? So we need a little bit of background knowledge about the US and how their elections work, but this is false. Not all US citizens can vote in US elections. There are a few important counterexamples. So for example, citizens under the age of 18, under age of 18 years, can't vote. One other example is US citizens who live in US territories like Puerto Rico. They can't vote in, for example, presidential elections. Okay, part B. What is the negation of P in words? And then is it true or false? Okay. So the negation of P, I'm going to write not P, is, so I could simply say, I could just add the word not in front of this, or it is not the case that. So not I'll put a not in front. Not all, oops, not all U.S. citizens can vote in U.S. elections. So we could definitely leave it like this, but I do want to show you one other way that we could rewrite this that's equivalent. So if not all U.S. citizens can vote in U.S. elections, that's the same thing as saying that there is some U.S. citizen, at least one, some U.S. citizen who can't vote in U.S. elections. That is the same thing as saying not all U.S. citizens can vote in U.S. elections. And this statement, not P, this is true. So if I label the different parts of this, so the if portion says a person is a U.S. citizen. So I'm gonna, instead of calling this P, because I already have a P, I need to pick a different letter. So maybe let's call this A. Maybe let's call this A. And then the then portion, they can vote in a U.S. election. Let's call that, maybe let's not call it Q because I couldn't use P. Maybe let's call this thing B. So then let's form the contrapositive. So the contrapositive would be, if not B, then not A. So we switch the order of the two parts and negate both of them. So in words, that would be if a person can't vote. So can't vote in a U.S. election, then I gotta negate the first part now, then they are not a U.S. citizen. A U.S. citizen. So finally I gotta answer, is this true or false? And for that, thinking about if this is true or false, I want you to pause the video for 1 minute to try that on your own. 4, 3, 2, 1, pause it, and think about, is this true or false based on what you know about implications for 1 minute. Alrighty, so hopefully you did that. Hopefully you paused the video for about a minute to try that. So this statement is false. So to make an if-then statement like this false, there's got to be a way for the if portion to happen, but the then portion to not happen. So this is false, for example, because there are people, I'm just going to abbreviate people, PPL, who can't vote So finally, in terms of our goals for this section, we finished our last goal to define converses, contrapositives, and inverses.